the host of Aaron's Hour, Aaron Phillips.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Aaron's Hour with Aaron Phillips. It is high noon Pacific time here on the West Coast. Well, sort of the West Coast. As soon as California falls off the map, we will be the West Coast and have beachfront property here in Las Vegas. Thank you for joining us here. We appreciate you taking the time to make me part of your Saturday, whether you're sitting in front of your computer watching us on YouTube or the Facebook channel, Worldwide Digital Broadcasting stuff, downloading it to your phone. We'll get to all that in a second. I appreciate you making me part of your day as always. Today, as I mentioned in the promo post, I have a double feature. That's right, double feature guest today. We're trying to change it up with anybody and everybody that's important in this town, and we appreciate who is with us. Of course, before we get to those folks, just remember, folks, if you're watching on the chat, on Facebook, I got the chat room rocking. If you're watching on the WWDBTV YouTube channel, you can put your comments there. We can see them on the screen, and I can say hello to you as well. I know Jennifer from Hawaii will probably be popping in here momentarily. Also, too, if you get a chance and you forget something on the show or you want to watch it because you missed it, you can go to right here on the Facebook page in the videos tab. You can go to the Worldwide Digital Broadcasting TV YouTube channel. It's there. But if you have Roku, I encourage you to download the WWDBTV page. And guess what? Not only will Aaron's Hour be on there, but all the shows that call this network WWDB-TV its home. Great shows. Check them all out. With that, let me quickly introduce my double feature guest today. We have run the gamut from author to singer. Gentleman in the middle to my right, gentleman that I've had the pleasure of interviewing in the past. He's back talking about another book that he has written. Mr. Thomas White, how are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
Doing well. Thank you for
so
coming.
Much for having me here. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And of course, the man sitting in the right with the orange tie, man who's very well known around these parts here in Vegas, Mr. Hal Savar. He just released some singles, and we're able to get him back on today. And good to see you, bud.
Good to see you.
Here's a cool thing. Oh, anytime.
I'm happy to be here.
Hal's going to be singing live. Okay, it's not going to be Memorex. It's not going to be any of that other shit. But Hal will be singing live his new song next year. Recently distributed out to the public back in December. And we'll get to Hal about all those songs and the schedule of songs that he's going to release. And again, as I said, you don't want to miss his song, and you don't want to miss him performing live here in studio. All right. With that, as always, I'm going to get their input on my topics today. Of course, you guys know I like to share the good news with everybody about some of the winners, but just as a reminder to all of you who come out, first of all, thank you for helping our economy and coming out here, by the way. And also, Las Vegas is not built on winners, even though I do share some winning news. That's okay, because we still love you all to come out here, all 40 million of you who come out through. I'm still going to call it McCarran Airport, guys, because that's still a habit after 25 years. But the Harry Reid International Airport, we appreciate it. And, of course, there's some great events upcoming here in this town, like this weekend, the Pro Bowl, if you want to call it that, flag football, golf, dodgeball thing that's going on with NFL players. That's going on here in town. Of course, next month, something about the NCAA tournament that brings people here for the basketball, even though none of the games are played, or some may be actually. Some of the lower games, like from Mountain West Conference, they generally play here, right? So there's a lot that goes on here. And by the way, book now, because the Super Bowl in 2024 will actually be coming here. So it's things like that, I don't know, make people want to come to Vegas.
I think the NCAA Final Four is here
in the future,
in the next couple of years as well.
Good point. Thank you for reminding me. That'll be out at Allegiant Stadium, right?
Yeah.
So I have something about Allegiant Stadium in my news and notes that I'll share with you guys. I'll be very interested to hear your guys' take on that. But first, here's some winning news. I wish I had a sound effect like of some slot machines or something.
I wish you were saying my name when you did.
I know. Listen, I'd like to say my name first. Then I'll share the wealth after that. Las Vegas local. See, this is what makes me feel when a local wins. It's great whenever, people from all over, they come out, they win, especially Hawaii. The ninth island for the eighth island, we're the ninth island, whatever we are. Hawaiians seem to win a lot in this town. I don't know why, but they do. But not this one. This is a Las Vegas local. They won on Guy Pai Gal Poker, easy for me to say after doing a 2-hour show already. Pai Gal Poker, Boulder Station. This individual, of course, anonymous. We have a lot of people in this town under their name anonymous. They won $135,000 on Pai Gal Poker. They hit a 7-card straight flush in diamonds, gentlemen. You guys can see the picture. Whoa. Look at that hand right there. But here's the thing I've always wondered about the PR. These are great numbers. Like they win 135,000. It's sort of like what we were talking about before. But how much did they spend to get to this winning?
That's true. They never tell you that.
Right? They never tell. Like we were just talking about. John asked about that. How much? Listen, this is great. And I read some stories last week. Somebody bet I think one of them coming out like $7 to win X amount. Sorry, but how much did you previously spend before winning? That's like when I sold timeshare. Oh, I don't need to buy a timeshare. I come here free. Well, how do you come here free? Well, the hotel puts me up where I stay. And I asked them, I say, do you gamble a lot in that casino? Of course, they say yes. Guess what, folks? You're prepaid for those vacations. They ain't free, okay? So just know that coming out. All right, here's another local. Turned a $7.50 bet at Rampart Casino into $18,000. Some extra pocket money. They won on a Rampart. They won on a slot machine. What does it say? The Dragon Link slot machine. Up at Rampart. For those who don't know, that's up in the Summerlin area off the 215, about 12 miles due northwest, sort of where we are right here, maybe roughly, maybe a little less.
Could be.
Something like that. Could be. He's like, yeah, whatever he says.
I don't know.
That sounds good. Do you live on the other side of town?
Yeah, I live in Henderson on the other side of
so
town.
you left last night to get here?
Yes.
I got you. Thank you very much.
I know if we went any further north, I'd have to change my underwear. And wear the magic kind.
That's like when I go to Henderson, I have to get my passport stamped on the other side of 15. So I get it. Here's another one. A player nabs $1 million on a slot machine at 4 a.m. earlier this week on the 30th. Are you kidding me? Caesar's Palace. They hit for a $25 bet on another one of those fancy Delancey slot machines, a $25 bet at 4 a.m. in the morning, $1,040,252. If you don't know where to spend some of that, sir, or whoever won that, we have a couple of suggestions for you. If you just want to email me, that would be great. All right. Or you can put it on my Facebook page. We have a couple of, hello, Jennifer from Hawaii. Jennifer's also a fan favorite of Las Vegas. She loves coming here. She's one of our favorite fans and supporters. Sorry, Jennifer, I'm announcing some winners this week, but I don't have anybody from Hawaii this time around, so something must be slow out there. Guest hits $125,000 slot machine back at Caesar's Palace. This is crazy stuff. It doesn't say how much they spent. It just says that a Caesar's Rewards member hit for $125,000 this past Sunday. So again, one of those. How much did they spend to get the $1.25? You know, I recently went to the airport to pick up a friend of mine who was coming in, and he was a little delayed. So I decided to walk inside on the baggage claim level. And as I'm walking by a machine, one of the machines said, hey, you, come over here. And I like playing the slots with the old style with the 5-line thing. So I took a $10 bill out, nothing drastic. I put it in. I hit a little bit, 5 here, then I lost it. And then all of a sudden, the thing starts clicking, right? And I'm watching the quarters go in and out. I'm like, there's like 25. I'm like, okay, I'll hit for a couple of bucks. Thing kept going. 1,600 quarters. I walked out of the airport with $318.
Nice.
And I left
That's
quickly.
A win.
That is a big win.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That almost covers parking.
Oh, yes, right. And it does an eggs too, by the way. So as a matter of fact, it went very quickly because as soon as I got home, my wife went like this. So it didn't last very long. But it's the thing about the airport, though. When I sold timeshare, guys, I told people don't play in the airport because it's the worst odds. They have you as a capture audience. They know you can't really go to another casino while you're in the airport waiting for your flight. But this year, especially since the pandemic opened up, guys, it seems to be there's more and more winners being announced out of the airport than ever before.
You always hear, like they were on their way out.
Right. Their last quarter.
Well, yeah, it's like I was saying earlier. They come here and they say, okay, I have $500 to lose.
Right.
And they are going to stay here until they lose the $500.
Right.
So they get to the airport and they got 20 left. It's going in the machine.
That's right. But I know why they did that. Look, after we came out of the pandemic, we're trying to lure people to come back. So it seems to me since the pandemic, more and more news about winners anywhere in Vegas is really making the headlines unlike before. And obviously that's part of the promotion of getting people to come back here. My last winner, though, this is a heartwarming story. It has nothing to do with somebody winning here in Las Vegas. This is a single mom in North Carolina. This is a cool story. She went into, her name was Natalie Caraway. She won $200,000. Some states around the country, where I come from, New Jersey, have these, those scratch-offs, right? Mm-hmm. $1 for a card or whatever it is. Well, it was the Hot 5 scratch-off game. 46-year-old mother told anyone who listened that day before buying the ticket, she will win the top prize. She was in the store. She scraped off the card, and sure enough, she hit for $200,000. She's a single mom. trying to recover from obviously the pandemic and stuff, worrying about putting food on the table. After taxes, listen, she walked out of there with about $125,000. Still, nice take-home pay for a single mom who obviously urgently needed that to support. And she, single mom, I think she had one daughter, according to the story. So congratulations to you out in North Carolina. So that is good stuff. By the way, if you have any news like that you'd like me to share in an upcoming show, please go to my Facebook page. If you're watching on it right now, thank you so much. It's the Aaron's Hour Show. Post any of that information. If you got birthdays you'd like me to announce, you're coming to town or whatever, we can certainly share your news and it would be great. All right. You guys like frozen custard?
Frozen custard.
You guys are, who doesn't?
Yeah.
I'd rather have ice cream. But that's just
Me too, but
right.
I didn't want to be a downer just as you were starting.
I'll
this.
do it. That's okay. I'll be the
You
downer.
guys like, nope, nobody.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Not really.
Nielsen's Frozen Custard is opening its first location in the west side of Las Vegas this upcoming month. They're going to be opening up at Red Rock Casino February 3rd. Well, when was that? Yesterday, which means it's already open. Who's that out there? Prince Martin. I can't read the last name, so help me, John.
Mogi. M-O-G-Y.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Have an excellent weekend from Memphis, Tennessee. Excellent. My uncle-in-law was in fact Meyer Lansky. Oh my goodness. You know what, Prince? I know Meyer Lansky Jr. here in Las Vegas. I've met him over lunch. I've actually interviewed him in the past. I've watched the Meyer Lansky Story movie that was out not too long ago. So I do know Meyer Lansky here, the son here in town. So great. Thank you so much for checking in. Appreciate that you're watching us and checking us out. So this is the restaurant, the frozen custard place owned by husband and wife duo Howard and Amanda Zayon, and the Summerlin spot will be located in Red Rock's food court. So if you like your frozen custard, you know where to go. I like Cold Stone personally, but that's just me. All right, we mentioned earlier Super Bowl's coming out, right?
Yep.
Two things on this, gentlemen. How old is Allegiant Stadium roughly? A couple of years, 3 years?
3 years, I think.
Okay. Did you see the news announcement this past week? Okay.
I know where you're going.
3-year-old, multi-billion dollar, whatever it is, 65 to 70,000 people seat arena. They are already investing $7.5 million in upgrades. Upgrades to a stadium that just opened up. Now, obviously, this is to do stuff for the Super Bowl in 2024. So here's what they're doing. You ready for this lineup, folks? Mobile vehicle barriers, $393,000. Field protection, $258,000. Parking lot fiber, maybe fiber optics for Wi-Fi, maybe? I don't know. $459,000. What are bollards? B-O-L-L-A-R-D-S. Do you know what those are?
No idea.
Exterior.
They're posts.
Posts, that they are?
Yeah.
Posts?
Round posts.
Couldn't you just say posts? Exterior posts, $150,000. These are some of the items on the 15-item list that's going to be covered with the $7.5 million. Now, obviously, part of this is going to be and they're supposed to be doing other stuff with boxes and suites for the Super Bowl. Okay, who's paying for this? Okay, they have bondages and stuff that built the original stadium.
I don't know, but I got to imagine it's the NFL and the Raiders are paying for this.
I wouldn't put anything past Mark Davis. How?
Man, I don't know.
It ain't us, right?
I hope it's
Yeah,
not
no.
us.
Right. In my opinion, obviously, this is to help with the Super Bowl, and of course,
They know it's going to bring a ton of people to town.
of course,
you know,
absolutely. Also, too, what they're doing on the construction on what they're calling now Tropicana, where they got rid of the exit ramps and they've been building that and widening it and changing it. Obviously, I think that's also for the stadium and to help flow of traffic get in and out of there. But still, stadium's 3 years old and they didn't think about putting it. What they really needed to do is spend $7.5 million on parking.
Yeah.
How do you build a stadium that can hold almost
I always-
70,000 people
Yeah.
and have a parking lot of
Where's the
2,500 spaces?
I always describe Allegiant Stadium as a really beautiful stadium with 6 parking spaces.
Yes, exactly. Personally, I am not a big fan of the design of this big black thing in the middle of the desert. It looks like a hockey puck to me.
It looks like a Roomba. I mean,
Right. It
one
looks
of
like the
those,
vacuum cleaning
vacuums.
thing. It's got just the neon lights around it on the outside. Couldn't they have done something more Vegas-esque
I
to this
think
thing?
their approach was make it more Raider-esque than Vegas-esque. And I have no problem with it. I think it's a beautiful facility. It's a wonderful stadium.
I have yet to set foot in it.
And that's all it is a stadium.
Right.
I'm a Charger fan myself, so I'm down in SoFi in LA, which is a community. I mean, it is massive, and it houses. Has a whole commercial area. It houses the NFL Network now. It houses the NFL headquarters on the West Coast. It's just a massive, massive thing. So different from Allegiant. Parking there is a nightmare.
Sure.
Okay, particularly in the part of town that it's in.
Right.
And they've got a lot of spaces, but not enough. And they're $100.
It's crazy.
To pay $100 for parking, it's morally reprehensible.
You know, it's funny. I have yet to set foot in the stadium. Being a Giants fan, I have no reason to really go in there. But it's funny because next football season, the Giants are due to come out to play the Raiders. Still, I have to have the debate. I have a beautiful 60-inch widescreen television, no lines for the bathrooms.
Yep.
I've already paid for the food I'm going to eat. I have to think about that. Plus,
it is the most expensive stadium in the league to go to.
Is it really?
Yes.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, you know how you see the stadium?
Yeah.
Go to a UNLV game.
Oh, that's a good point.
There you go. That's how I saw it first 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
And stadium's beautiful. It's a lovely experience, but it's just the stadium. So
I think, there's something to be said for the experience. You're not going to be there every week. Just go once, have the experience. When you walk, that moment where you walk out and you see the whole thing,
right,
and it hits you like, wow, this is beautiful, and you see everybody together and you feel like the community and that kind of
unless you're wearing the opposing team's shirts.
Right.
I want to, even though I live here and whatnot, if I walk in with a Giants jersey, I want to be able to walk out.
You will have no problem
with the jersey still on me.
The thing about this
no wimps here. Don't worry about that.
The thing
unless
about
you're near the black hole. I mean, come on. Those guys are tough.
But those guys are all, they're all old guys that are dentists and lawyers that dress up and paint their face. The old time when they were in LA and they had
Oakland,
it was
especially.
real serious.
Yeah, absolutely.
That doesn't exist here. Not to mention that half the fans are going to be for the opposing team.
That's true.
All the
Everybody's
time.
coming in
from
for
Philadelphia, so nothing scares me.
Well, it's Philadelphia. Gee, I wonder who you're rooting for next week.
Yeah.
Real quickly, also too, for the Super Bowl, guess what? They are looking for volunteers to work at the Super Bowl, which is ironic that they're looking for volunteers for a game that's going to bring in billions of dollars of revenue. But if you are interested in wanting to volunteer, be in the stadium and not actually be able to see the game, you can do that as well by going to lvsuperbowlhc.com/volunteer-program. So if you want to go out there and do that, that would be a first of its kind. John, I don't know if you saw Patty. You did. Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to skip that for right now. That's not important. Real quickly, we were talking about this before I went on the air. This past week, Hollywood saw 3 more individuals pass away this week, and I don't know what's in the water for 2023, but something's been going on since January. But just this past week alone that made the news, among others that we were talking about, Annie Wersching, actress in Timeless, Star Trek 24, she passed away at the age of 45 following cancer issue. Lisa Loring, who played the original Wednesday Addams on the original TV show, she passed away this past week in her mid-60s, I want to say 64, 65. And probably of all the names, the most iconic name, all I really have to do is say Schlemiel Schlemazel, and everybody will kind of know what the reference is. Cindy Williams, who played Shirley Feeney on that show, passed away at 75. I actually saw her in menopause out here a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Saw her in that. That was great. So Laverne and Shirley are back together again in heaven, doing their thing and causing a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, I work with Menopause Musical.
Did you really?
I do.
Oh, you still do? Okay.
And I did not come in when Cindy was there, so I never actually met her. But the remaining of the cast and staff were just devastated. by this.
I'm sure.
It's really tough.
So she'll be missed. They are back together up in heaven with Squiggy's up there too. And
I looked this up the other day, and everybody except Michael McKean in that cast has passed away.
Right. Gary Marshall has since passed, the director and everything. So Michael McKean, if you don't know who he is, he was Lenny to Squiggy, as well as the main star in Spinal Tap. With that, we're going to step aside for our first break. We're running a few minutes behind because I got to pay some bills courtesy of my sponsors. Thank you very much. When we come back, we're going to get started talking with Hal and Thomas and talking about what they're doing. And you're not going to want to go anywhere. So be right back. You're watching Aaron's Hour. Thank you for watching.
I'm Miss Murder, and I have a question for you. Have you ever explored the beauty in horror? I'm Mercedes M. Yardley, known as Miss Murder. I'm a dark fantasist who wears poisonous flowers in my hair. Among my many titles, I'm the author of the Stabby award-winning book titled Apocalyptic Montessa and Nuclear Lulu, A Tale of Atomic Love, as well as winning the prestigious Bram Stoker Award for my novella Little Dead Red. My short story, Loving You Darkly, also received a Bram Stoker nomination. Check out all of my titles at www.mercedesmyardley.com, where I remind you.
Are you looking for someone to provide training to your staff? Do you need a motivational speaker about how to handle change? Do you have an upcoming event that needs an MC to handle those responsibilities? Well, look no further than longtime Las Vegas radio personality Aaron Phillips. I am local to Las Vegas, and I can blend my talents with any audience. For more information, please visit www.aaronphillipsvoice.com and book me for your next event or training needs.
All right, welcome back to Aaron's Hour with yours truly, which really works out because if my name wasn't Aaron Phillips, the title of the show would really be stupid. But anyway, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Please make sure. Hi, Christina Alden, by the way. I saw you sneak in there right before break. Thank you very much. Mark Maynard is out there. Thank you. Patty, thank you. And, of course, Jennifer, Prince, and everybody else, thank you so much for joining us today. All right. Let's get started with our guests. I'm going to start with the gentleman on my far right, Mr. Hal Savar. If you don't know who he is, you're not getting out enough here in Las Vegas. One of the best entertainers, singers around town. He runs around as the walking jukebox of entertainment. He knows like 9 billion songs in his head. There isn't a song you really can't get past him without doing. You'll see him performing at many locations around town. He has a band. He released some music. First single release was called Next Year. We'll talk about that, and we'll actually hear that live in studio. My other guest here, Mr. Thomas White. He is an author, former actor. He's written his second book called The Siren Scream. I'm going to hold it up here, Scream. I don't know if John can switch to my one shot while we do that. This is a book. I read the synopsis of the story. Basically, this is a story that I guess every real estate agent has a nightmare about. When you go into a property and something about that property just sort of sucks you in a way you really didn't expect. It's about a mansion that is up for sale. She represents the buyers and sellers. And something happens with this property that took him 500 pages to write about. Look, if I wrote a book, but thank God I had a ghostwriter. If I wrote it by myself, mine would be 2 pages long, and it would be a very small comic book. But anyway, so these fine gentlemen with us today, and we appreciate you guys coming out, talking about, we got singing, we got authorships and whatnot. So Hal, I'm going to start with you before we get to Thomas's book. Next Year was a song. I know a lot of the backstory on it, but why don't you share with our audience your background a little bit in music and how this song came about, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, sure. So like you were saying, like I've been in Vegas for since 2001, 2002.
Okay.
And I started playing music professionally a few years after that. And so my whole career has been in Vegas, and I've been like this human jukebox guy where I take requests, but I've continued to write music like the entire time. Mm-hmm. And it's hard because the music business itself and the way you put out music just keeps changing, mm-hmm. Every couple of years. It's like, evolving into something else. Record labels are not, when I started, it was like you pass out your CDs to everybody. Right. That was, and it was before like I sound like an old man, but it was,
wait a minute.
It's different. Things are down.
Or an 8-track.
Yeah. Hand everybody my 8-track. Like, what? You don't have an 8-track player? But I focused a lot on making a career and having a family, and I love Vegas and entertaining people. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit and everything stopped, they wouldn't let us entertain anybody, I missed it so much. And it also, I was on the verge of turning 40 mm-hmm. and feeling that kind of maybe like minor midlife crisis thing. And I started to think about like, not have I wasted time not doing my own music, but just if not now, like when, like I think it's time mm-hmm. to start putting my own music out there. And that's really my original intentions for playing music, was creating art that I could share with people. And I was writing a song, and I have a younger brother. Mm-hmm. He's 8 years younger than me.
Okay.
And he's aggressively optimistic. We'll put it that. He's a hater. He's kind of a hater sometimes. But it's good to have somebody like that in your life sometimes to keep you in check. And he came over like right after I wrote that song. Okay. And I kind of thought it was a throwaway song. I was writing the song. To me, it felt kind of like, I'm Jewish. And on Passover, there's this thing that you say where like next year in Jerusalem, which isn't literal. But it's nice. It means like maybe next year we'll all be together. Right. And I kept thinking about that phrase and kind of how the first time ever, as horrible as all this stuff was that was happening, the world keeps moving, right? So it's kind of nice. There's hope. There's next year we have some. So my brother came over literally right after I wrote the song and said like, well, what are you doing? So I just wrote this song. He said, play it for me. And I was like, no way.
The wrath of a brother.
He's like, come on, man, just play it for me. I'm like, all right, fine. So I was reading the words because I just written it. And when I looked up, he was crying.
Really?
And he was like, you need to share this with people. Like this, your music, it's time. Like this is, and we had this weird conversation about how I wanted to play music outside of Vegas too. And I'd never done that. And it turned into this thing where we shot a docuseries about live music across the country and about me chasing my dreams. And I brought my family with me, my kids. My son was 1 at the time and my daughter was 7.
Wow.
And it was crazy. And I got to do a lot of really cool stuff. Like when we were in Memphis, I recorded at Sun Studios. And I got a lot of like good history and I met a lot of people in the business and I got to road test my music for the first time ever and see that people were reacting to it in a really positive way. Sure. And it made me more confident. And I came home and I felt like Vegas was missing a music scene for original music. Right. And so I started a weekly songwriter showcase. And just as soon as I feel like as soon as you do something that's less for you and more for other people, good things kind of start happening.
But in what you do, though, it's almost a combination because you can write a song that's meant for you because of your feelings. But get it out there to benefit others. Yes. And I think that's kind of what I think listening to the backstory on the song, it covers both bases.
Yeah, I had moments where, like one time we were in Colorado and we were walking into a place with the camera guys. So, people are looking at you. There's like attention. They see, and these biker guys show these like grizzled, like older biker guys, like real biker guys. You know what I mean? Like they pulled up. And we had to stop shooting because they're loud bikes. Right. And they got out there like, what are you doing? We're shooting this thing. And I had a guitar on my back. And they're like, play something for us. I was like, okay.
Yes, sir. I'll be glad
to. Exactly. I was going to play something kind of like bluesy rock.
Right.
And my brother, said like play next year, which is like this emotional song. And I said, all right, fine. So I played the song. A couple of the guys were crying. They were hugging me. They're like, you were great. They're like, they want to follow me. They're my only fans now.
Christina Alden, a good friend of mine. She's in the chat room. If you don't know who Christina Alden is, then you've been living under a rock and you should check her out. One of the best motivational speakers out there. She does a lot of work for corporations. And so her response to your story here, wow, what a great story about touching hearts across the country and bringing the love back home from Christina Alden. So that's a huge compliment. Well, tell her thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
It's interesting in the writing process. I mean, I go through the same thing. I always remember this quote that Tom Stoppard said, and he wrote a play called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, whenever it was. Oh, it was longer than that. But it's filled with subtext and filled with, different sorts of meanings. And somebody asked him if he did that intentionally. He said, well, I did write it. And I guess it's like if you pack a suitcase to go on a trip. You put everything in the suitcase, you get there, and you start pulling stuff out that you don't remember packing, but clearly you packed it.
Or somebody packed it.
So it's in there.
Sure.
And that's pretty much the way that the writing process happens, is that you write something, and as you said, you thought it was a throwaway.
I did. I thought it was
and then suddenly it affects people in a way that you would totally unexpected.
Right.
And that's the coolest thing ever.
Absolutely. And I've been learning too that, as we've gotten a little further away from COVID, that it's not really about COVID. It's about hope. It's about,
Right.
Everybody needs a win. At some point, you feel like maybe next year could be better than this one,
Right.
And
Well, isn't that why we keep moving forward? That
Right.
we hope that the next day continues to be better than the day before.
Especially now.
Right, especially now. Exactly.
To fill the world with positivity is like an amazing thing.
Absolutely. By the way, I also say those same words at the end of every Passover, just so you know. Christina Alden says you are welcome, and she loved the play that you referenced, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
So,
One of my favorites.
all right.
I, as a young man, played Rosencrantz, so I know it well.
So Thomas has a background in acting, also directing. He's been in charge of I know your resume is so long. I don't know which things to pull out here. Bottom line is he's no stranger to the front of the camera, behind the camera. And a couple of years ago, how long ago did you write your first book, Justice Rules?
It was 10 years ago.
Okay, so 10 years ago, Justice Rules. Quick synopsis on what that was.
Justice Rules is a murder mystery that takes place in the Pacific Northwest. And I like to think of it as you get one little piece of information that just leads to a plethora of other things that happen. And he comes to find out that he's investigating one murder that leads to another, that leads to a group, that leads to a giant plot, that leads to this rich guy. And I've gotten very, very good feedback on it, and people tell me it's intriguing. So
now you
Justice Rules.
So you shifted from that kind of story, murder mystery, basically, to this kind of story. How give? I mean, I kind of gave a synopsis, but give the official synopsis from the author.
I love the mermaid story. All right, who doesn't?
Right.
Everybody loves the mermaids. The long flowing hair, the puka shell bras, the whole thing. Everybody loves that.
What are they called?
Puka shells?
Oh, that's.
I think that's what they're called. That's what I call them.
I thought they were coconut shells, but what do I know? Jennifer, correct us and help us if you don't mind.
And then, and then there's the evil version of that, which is the siren.
Sure.
That calls the sailors to their death. But the story is as old as time. I mean, everything that can be written about them, for the most part, had. And I wanted to find a different way of looking at it.
Okay.
And I struggled with it for a while, and I started this like 20 years ago and just kept putting it away and then pull it out and putting it away.
What was that throwaway thing?
Yeah, and I couldn't find the thing that made it work for me. Well, I was at a dinner with some family members, and I have a particularly difficult sister who was giving us a particularly difficult time. And in the middle of it, I thought, I wonder if mermaids have to deal with this. And I went, wait a minute, do they have a lineage? Where do mermaids come from? What about sirens? Do they have a family? And suddenly this all started to make sense to me. And I was able to put it in the pool in the backyard of this mansion, and then created an entire lineage of how this came to be and what this siren's motivation is. And it all connects over the period of about 100 years.
Right on. So when did you finish the book when it came out?
It came out in October.
Oh, just this past October. Okay, so again, I'm just going to hold it up to the camera. John, if you can just give me the one shot. How can people now, I know you have a website. We'll get to that in a second, but the book is available, I'm presuming, on Amazon?
It is available on Amazon. And the easiest way to get it, I mean, with a name like Thomas White, I'll never be stalked. You put my name into Google and you will come up with, I don't know how many guys before you get to me. And, but if you just Google Thomas White author, all of the links pop up.
And again, I want to just make sure everybody realizes that Thomas is with the H in there, because there are some Thomases without the H. I believe we have the web address, which is flowing at the bottom of the screen right now, www.thomas-white-author.com. That is his website. And I presume you have the links to your books on there.
Yes, all the links are there. And then if you want an autographed copy, the information is there, how to get one.
Have them on your show.
Other than having me on your show.
That's how you get an autographed copy. All right, here's what I'd like to do, Mr. Producer. We're going to step aside for an early break, because during that break, Hal's going to go over to Studio 1A and get ready to present us when we come back his song Next Year. No, we're not singing it next year. That's the title of the song. It's like a whole Abbott and Costello routine that can come from that. And then we'll have Thomas talk more about the book. And you and your comments, please keep them coming in the chat room. We appreciate it. You are watching Aaron's Hour. Mr. Hal will be at the mic when we come back. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss.
Anxiety, depression, PTSD, ADHD, pain, inflammation, dealing with mental or physical health issues, or know someone who is? Relax, refresh, recover, revive. Natural health alternatives using hemp-derived CBD and other cannabinoids found in hemp are increasingly becoming more effective in managing various symptoms that affect your body, state of mind, and daily life. Planet Harvest Health's mission is to help those looking for natural, new, and better solutions for a healthier way of life, specializing in small batch, handcrafted alternatives, providing higher quality and a cost-effective product. Go to planetharvesthealth.com for more information and education.
This is the story of one man's incredible journey from 350 to 200-pound weight loss and his mission to help and inspire others. Aaron Phillips. People are praising Aaron's new book with 5-star reviews. Aaron's various humorous and wildly entertaining stories portray his rise as a sports announcer, his encounters with exotic and irregular entertainers on the Las Vegas Strip through his long-running Vegas Unwrapped radio show, and his contagious and positive style of pursuing success. Call now or visit our website or Amazon now to get your copy of Let My Voice Speak to You, stories from a Hall of Fame radio personality. Order now.
The Thornton Mansion, with the giant tide pool in the backyard, has terrorized Santa Cruz for over a century. Throughout the years, there have been dire and mysterious deaths connected with it. It is now Darcy Wainwright's turn to face the perils of the mansion. The mansion becomes her first sale as a novice realtor, and she becomes intricately and inevitably connected to the house and the pool. It is the pool that beckons her, and it is the pool that will decide if she lives or dies. The Siren Scream. Now available on Amazon and multiple online outlets.
Hey, welcome back to Aaron's Hour. Thank you so much for tuning in. As promised, folks, I hope you have not gone anywhere. And if you haven't and you're still there, you might want to share our feed with your friends to catch Hal Savar singing his song next year right now. We're going to send it over to Studio 1A to Mr. Hal. Take it away, sir.
next year everything is gonna change. It's time together, nothing stays the same. Maybe next year, 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 maybe next year.
Wow. Hal, while you're there, before we get you back up here, question came into the chat room, and that was, where else are you performing, upcoming dates, things like that?
I play at your house if you want.
Hey, that's fine. Anytime.
It looks like pretty much for the upcoming future for a while, I'll be Friday and Saturday nights up at Mount Charleston Retreat in the restaurant from like 6:30 to 8:30. I love it. It's like an intimate situation. I get to talk to people while they're eating dinner and sing at their faces. It's kind of nice. I don't know. We have some stuff coming up. My band is playing St. Patrick's Day at Lake Las Vegas at the Irish Pub. We'll be there around 7 p.m. for 4 to 5 hours. And
at least as far as you can remember by that point.
Yeah. I don't know if you find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm always posting up where I'm performing at. Sometimes stuff pops up last minute. But Mount Charleston is pretty, it's like my home away from home.
Website is what?
You can find it, my whole calendar at halsavar.com. That's HALSAVAR.com. Or if you just go to Facebook, Instagram, and look up Hal Savar Music, you can find me on there.
And best place to get that piece of music for people to hear?
You can find that now everywhere. So iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Prime Music, anywhere you ingest your music from, you can find my first single. It's called Next Year.
And guess what? They can now hear it right here on Aaron's Hour with Aaron Phillips, courtesy of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting. How's that?
Yes.
All right. While you make it back over here, Christina Alden shares that she just simply says, wow. And where did it go? Her son Jay just walked into the room and stopped what he was doing to listen to that piece of music.
It was beautiful.
So that is great. Great story about touching hearts across the country and bringing the love back home, as Christina said earlier. So great job. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. What we're going to do, you have a piece that you would also like to share out of the book, because you're out of the book. You're going to read a little segment, because that is going to tie into what we've been talking about. But this is what we call a hook, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break so we can get Hal situated back up here. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, right. We'll be right back.
I'm Matt. I'm Chief.
And I'm Aaron. And together we are
Thoughts Count Anywhere. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Right here on WWDBTV Network and all the shows that are available for you to watch. And why is that?
Because the Chief says so.
Hey, special shout out to Christina's son, Jay. Good to see you, my friend. Got to get you back here in studio because you have a future in this business. I have not forgotten. How terrific. I mean,
thank you.
I had goosebumps sitting here the entire time listening to the song and the lyrics in there. And the message is tremendous. Now, with that, Thomas has a piece in his book that actually kind of ties into a little bit.
Well, we were talking about, writing and how people interpret it. I got a review on Amazon from somebody that referred to it as an eyes wide shut ride.
Ooh.
And I went, really? I don't know that that's true. And so I kind of went looking back, and I found, though, this is one passage. And what happens here in the book is a nebbish type of man buys this mansion supposedly for his mother, but it's not really. It's because he's become under the spell of the siren.
Nebbish. Now, there's a word I haven't heard in a long time.
And so consequently, she is enticing him along the way and promising him sexual favors, I guess you would say, to do her bidding. And this is the one little this is just a paragraph of the section where she finally pays up. So it goes, From the center of the funnel, a head appeared, and she rose slowly out of the water. She was here, Henry's vision of holiness. Roxanne to his Cyrano, this lovely creature rose full out of the water and beckoned for him. She floated in front of him, a testament to absolute beauty. She was naked from the waist up, and her long flowing hair hung down well past her waist. Her breasts were full and firm, and rivulets of water ran between them. Henry caught his breath as she stood before him, and he fell into her as if she were his grave.
Wow.
So maybe it is a kind of eyes wide shut thing.
Could be.
I don't know.
It could be. Do you have any signing scheduled?
I don't know, but you can get an autographed copy. Information's on my website, and I can give you all the details for that. I have nothing
Currently scheduled.
Currently scheduled. So
I mean, your book is at Barnes and Noble, so I would think that would be a good place.
Yeah, it's actually Barnes and Noble, good read. You can get them on all the online outlets.
Right on. Very good. So but go to the website, which is what?
Thomas-white-author.com.
Excellent. So it's a great place for that information. I want to go back to Hal for a second. Now, I know this because we've been on the inside since the beginning. You have releases scheduled for upcoming songs. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So this is a big deal for me because I'm actually finally releasing music, which sounds weird because I've had it in my back pocket for a long time. So it's a lofty thing, but we're trying to do essentially every 5 to 6 weeks for the next 2 years, a single every 5 to 6 weeks. So release a different song. I'm really excited. The next one's called 27, and it's a sad love song. It's coming out right after Valentine's Day. I'm a big fan of those unrequited love songs, and I was on my way to the studio to write a song. I wanted to do something new, write a new song, and I heard the song "Faithfully" by Journey.
Oh yeah,
on the radio.
Sure.
And I thought this is as much BS as a sci-fi movie. There's no way that this it's about, because I don't know if you guys know, the song's about a musician who's on tour and chasing their dreams, and they're thanking their partner for being supportive at home and always being there. I'm like, this is like a comic book. There's no way. What a fantasy, So I was like, I want to write one that's kind of about somebody chasing their dreams, and then their person gave up on them. Yeah, just gave up. They come home and they're like, "What happened?"
That's a nice positive approach for the world.
Don't they have country songs like that or something?
Probably. So that's coming out. It's a sad one. It's coming out 2/27.
There you go. 2/27/23.
You get it everywhere.
Let me ask you a question about writing songs, and obviously. You can kind of.
I have written a song too.
Have you really?
I did.
Row your boat.
No, I wrote the lyrics. Dennis Blair and I wrote a song together.
Really, I know Dennis.
I know Dennis too.
Yeah.
What'd you write?
It's called "Thinking About Me." It's a kind of country ditty. It's available on Spotify, as a matter of fact. But you have to search "Thinking About Me," Thomas White.
Oh, there you go.
In order to get to it. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. But
it's so fun as we've gotten to catch. I interviewed Thomas a while ago, and when we got here early after the wrestling show, we were just chit-chatting. He told me a little piece of news involving wrestling, which I'm not going to let out of the bag. But look for Thomas to be a guest on Thoughts Count Anywhere coming real soon to share that story. But I want to ask you guys both this question. Songs probably more so, but how much writing your stories and songs come from real experience in life, some way or another? And I think that would probably be more so in a song than a book, I would think, in this particular style of book that you write. But how much of that is drawn on experience? Hal, I'll start with you.
I mean, for the thing that was uncomfortable for me playing my original music for a long time was that it was like a diary.
Okay.
It was really personal. And sometimes even now, I have a song about my daughter. It's a cute song. If you're diabetic, you probably should stay away from that one. It's sweet. It's a real sweet song. But I'm going to release that in a couple months. But the thing is, I still feel insecure about it sometimes, and it's weird why. I feel like you hear a lot of songs where people are angry at their dads.
Okay.
So to be a father and have a song about my daughter, I don't want people in the crowd to feel like. I just don't want them to feel separated from or uncomfortable or weird. Okay. And it made me uncomfortable but ultimately it's because
But did it make you more uncomfortable because it was an inside version of you and letting a part of your private life get out to the public?
Very personal and private. And also, I don't want to ever, I just don't want people to roll their eyes and be like, oh, this, you know what I mean? Like,
no, but when you reveal something that's so personal and so real to you, that's the only way you can touch other people,
right?
Because otherwise it becomes just like you say, it's so many cliches and et cetera, et cetera. But to really express an honest emotion,
I think
that's the essence of the whole thing.
I think even with what you're doing, like what you're doing is essentially like you're taking things that have spoken to you in your life and things that are coming at you, and then you're interpreting it. You know, it's art, you know, and it's something that, you know, you can kind of like, I used to write constantly, like what I thought were songs when I was in high school. And I remember when I was a senior, this girl like leaned over my shoulder and she said, "Oh, you like poetry?" And I was like, "No, I don't poetry. Like, what are you talking about?" And then I realized, like, oh no, it's exactly what I'm doing. Music to me is like poetry in 4D.
Sure.
Because now you have like the melody and you can put in a little more of like, you know, your feeling into like how you're singing it and stuff. But essentially it all comes from the same place,
right?
Which is, you know, these things happened and it's a great way to work through them.
Well, I remember when I started in timeshare, and I've been in sales since I was 14, but they penned down the definition of what a sale is, okay? And one of the first things they told us in the definition is it's the transfer of emotion. Bottom line, if you don't transfer the emotion of having somebody realize they have a problem, they don't have a problem, you give them a solution, blah, blah, blah. But the transfer of emotion part of that definition is really what you're talking about. You're putting yourself out there, which is the transfer of that internal emotion. Even if somebody rolls their eyes at it, guess what? They're responding emotionally.
Right.
And they may be the ones that you don't, maybe they're kind of responding that way because they're like sitting next to their friends and they don't want to show that side of them. And they're going to be your biggest fan, you know, at home downloading your music a million times.
Or it touches them where they don't want to be
Where
touched.
They don't want to be. Exactly, you know? Right. Exactly right.
I meant metaphorically.
No, yes. If it was any other way, we'd be in trouble. But
hands on the table.
Yeah, right. Table's not moving, is it? Anyway, I want to share, as I watched you sing that song, I am friends with a gentleman by the name of Tony Martini. And he was a longtime singer here in Vegas. He debuted here in Las Vegas the same time Wayne Newton and the Newton Brothers debuted downtown. Okay,
that's awesome.
Did a show with him. He did a CD set called My 50-Year Journey, which I encouraged him to do. He wanted to write a book. I got him to do a show. Anyway, when you listen to his music, and I noted this listening to just the CD music, he delivers the song in a way that he can be in a room of one person or a million people. All he cares about is if one person gets the message that's in that song. That as a performer, and he validated this, he was satisfied in delivering that song. And I say that because I watched you sing that song. And I got the sense you're the same way with your own music. Now, look, you and I first met, I don't know if you remember, Positively Kids, Fred Schultz, that event many years ago.
Yeah.
Myself, my wife, and Ricky Cash, and his wife, we were there. And, you know, you're singing all the songs. Everybody comes up to list, you know, again, the jukebox kind of style. Yeah. And that's a whole different style of presentation than when you're emotionally latched into delivering your own message.
It's different.
It's very different. And I got that, and I watched you in that song delivering the message that's in there, that if one person gets the message, wonderful. If everybody gets the message, that's icing on the cake. And I think that's important in delivering a message, whether it's in the book format or in music.
Without sounding too like overly dramatic or whatever, I really feel like, and as I've done the thing where we went on tour and and then come home and doing these like songwriter showcase and seeing other people creating music and sharing it with people, like I've learned that there's some songs that you just want people to feel good. You just want them to vibe with it and just feel good for a few minutes and forget all their troubles.
Right.
And then there's some songs like that one, which is more important to me because it makes me feel better when the world seems like a burning husk. And hopefully it will help other people in that same way.
Burning Husk. That's the title of your next song, right?
not to be too depressing, but I felt weird, for the first time ever in my entire life, I felt a weird responsibility to share this song with as many people as possible. And no, I just want people to feel good.
Well, I again, you mentioned it early on, and then believe it or not, we only have like 5 minutes left of the show. You mentioned it at the top, as we all agreed, coming out of the pandemic, we needed hope. And one of the things that I'm most proud of in my radio career and my broadcast career is during the shutdown, I still went to the studio and I did my show. Now, I was not in a 1,000-person studio, so the question of having 10 people and all that was not even an issue. I believed that with all the garbage that was out there in the news and Dr. Fauci and all this stuff that's on the news, we were all getting down by it. My shows, as everybody knows, entertaining, fun, silly, goofy, no politics, no religion. But through that entire time, I was determined I'm giving everybody a break for 1 hour every Saturday by watching Aaron's Hour.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of my proudest things that I've accomplished, because I gave people that that hope, that opportunity to forget. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about here. Your song for hope in the lyrics is just as important. And in writing a book, you're giving people an opportunity to escape their reality, good, bad, or indifferent.
Oh, yeah.
To sink themselves into somebody else's story and forget about their troubles for a while. Same thing in writing a book. And whether you believe that an author is an entertainer, or a songwriter is an entertainer, or what I do is entertainment, the bottom line is we're giving people the opportunity to suspend reality, which I think a lot of people need to do nowadays, because we're just too effing stressed. I mean, look at all the mass shootings that go on around the country now. You know what I'm saying? So messages like this, unfortunately, are becoming few and far between, but are just as important, if not more so, to get out there for others. All right, we have a couple of minutes left. So Hal, wrap up in terms of where people can find the music, next release date, website, all that stuff.
Yeah. Right now you can find Next Year and my first album, which you could just ignore the first album. It's we couldn't pull it
Way
offline.
to sell it, Hal.
There you go. Don't lose hope. This was my first novel, and I put it away for 15 years, and then went back and redid it.
It's a little embarrassing.
Yes.
It's from 20 years ago. I sound like a baby. But you can find Next Year.
Well, you are only 40.
It's true.
Company, yeah.
Next Year, you can find Next Year on all streaming platforms, anywhere that you get music from. You just got to look for my name, Hal, H-A-L, Savar, S-A-V-A-R. And then starting this February 27th will be the next one, 27. And then it'll be every like 5 to 6 weeks after that, a new song will start popping up. And I just really need people to share and enjoy and stream it and, show your friends and family, and hopefully it makes you feel good. I know this sounds like ridiculous, but you're a storyteller in our own ways. And I think like that's an important job to have right now, because the human condition is a lonely thing. And now we're doing things that make people feel like, oh yeah, I get this.
Right.
I feel I'm not alone.
Well, as those songs continue to be released, ladies and gentlemen, rest assured, we will be announcing them and taking care of Hal and the release dates as well here on Aaron's Hour with Aaron Phillips.
I'll be here.
And you'll be here. Exactly.
Sleep over there.
Live songs, live scene for each song to be released. Again, website, talk about your book. Where can people go?
Easiest way to find it is Google Thomas White author. Every link will pop up from my website, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, et cetera. And if you'd like an autographed copy, the information's on the website. Just reach out and contact me. And there you go. I wanted to, if we got just a couple of minutes here, the writing process in a song, I've found that writing a song is about for the most part, a single event and a single emotion that you're pushing all the way through. In writing a novel, you've got X amount of characters, and they all have different motivations. They all have different points of view, and they all have, different reasons that they're in the book. And my directing and acting background has come into I use it so often when I'm writing a character.
Sure.
And a lot of times I'll write a couple of chapters and then go back and be one character for the whole chapter and find out. I said, wait a minute, he would never say that.
Sure.
No, he would stab him, because in my genre, whenever you get into a tough bind, somebody has to die.
Somebody dies.
So it's easy out. But but telling the stories that way is what I find so very intriguing.
Absolutely.
And I hate the phrase "it wrote itself,"
Nothing
but
right
sometimes it does happen that way,
Right.
and suddenly you're like, "Oh, there you go."
But the process still has to be there to get it
Yeah.
out to write itself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Everybody, we want to thank you for tuning in today. We greatly appreciate it. Hal, Thomas, thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
catching up with both of you. We appreciate it. My guest next week on Aaron's Hour will be actor, stuntman Anthony Thunder. He'll be here in studio to talk about his career. A new thing I'm going to do on the way out before I give my closing line. The joke for the day. Yes, I got a link on my MSN link for like hundreds of jokes for kids and adults. So I shared one with John yesterday during the Kiwanis show. So if you want to catch that one, good luck. So here's today's joke as I say goodbye. What did the therapist say to the man wearing see-through shorts? I can clearly see your nuts. Anyway, with that, have a great week. Remember, be kind to everybody. Wise out. We're all we have. Have a great week from everybody here at Aaron's Hour. Thank you for watching.